witches have indeed been a staple in cinema for many years, reflecting society's evolving views on magic, power, and the supernatural. Their portrayals range widely, often embodying themes of fear, empowerment, mystery, and rebellion. Historically, witches in movies have been often depicted as malevolent forces embodying society's fears and the anxieties about the unknown and the supernatural. These characters often serve as main antagonists, driving the conflict and embodying pure evil. But more modern depictions of witches often reframe them as heroines or complex protagonists, highlighting themes of empowerment, independence, and self-discovery. Many film witches draw on folklore, mythology, and historical depictions of witchcraft, grounding their stories in cultural and historical context, while other new ones are completely original or are based on superhero inspirations. Anyway, here in this video we will classify movie witches into 7 broad categories. You can tell us in the comments section whether we got it right or not, and also subscribe as well as share this video with your friends. So let's get to it. Number 1. The spellcaster. The first here in this list is the spellcaster type. Out of the fictional space, a spellcaster, often found in various cultural, mythological, and fictional contexts, is an individual who practices the art of casting spells or witchcraft to manipulate supernatural forces for specific outcomes. These characters are prevalent in movies, where they are portrayed with diverse abilities and moral alignments. For example, in the Harry Potter series, Hermione is a skilled spellcaster whose knowledge and precision with spells aid in her and in her friends' numerous adventures, while on the other hand, Bellatrix Lestrange from the same franchise uses her knowledge for spells for more sinister reasons. Another good example are the Hocus Pocus witches. Yeah, although all witches do cast spells, these here in this category require verbal command and proper pronunciation of occult words to enact a power of a spell. Number 2. An enchantress. The enchantress types specifically refer to female witches who specialize in enchantments. Enchantments typically involve casting spells that influence, manipulate, or control objects, people, or environments. This specialization often emphasizes charm, allure, and magical influence, making enchantresses particularly associated with persuasive and transformative magic. Enchantresses excel in spells that charm, beguile, or transform. This can include love spells, glamours, and protective wards. Ravenna from the Snow White and the Huntsman movie is one such example of an enchantress, with her inherited powers of youth and beauty, as well as persuasion, becoming key to enchanting the king, and later her taking control over the kingdom of Snow White. Another movie example is the Enchantress from the DCEU Suicide Squad movie, which with her overall powers would transcend this category but can still be considered as such due to her being a temptress and the ability to implant mental images of grandeur or hope in the minds of her victims. Number 3. The Fae. While most witches are generally human sorcerers and spellcasters that have either an affinity to magic, have it in their genes, or gradually learn the craft by practicing or selling their souls to demons, there is another category, and these are the witches that have these powers because they belong to a different fantasy species altogether. The fairy godmother from Shrek and Maleficent are both creatures that belong to the Fae species, or also commonly known as fairies. While seemingly to be quite human-like in appearance and overall body design, they do have one thing that separates them from people, and that is their wings, as well as an unnatural long life and natural affinity to magic. There is another example of a witch that belongs to a different species, and this is none other than Ursula from The Little Mermaid. This witch belongs to a race of underwater sentient creatures known as octopans, which have an upper torso similar to humans, while also having a lower body that is identical to octopus and squids with many tentacles in place of legs. Although not really of the Fae race, Ursula's species can be considered an underwater counterpart. Number 4. The Chaos Witches. Chaos witches like Scarlet Witch from the Marvel Cinematic Universe and Yennefer of Vengerberg from The Witcher are powerful sorcerers whose abilities are deeply rooted in chaotic magic, a form of magic characterized by its unpredictability, raw power, and potential for both creation and destruction. The Scarlet Witch, also known as Wanda Maximoff, at one point in time created an alternate reality in the town of Westview, transforming it into an idealized sitcom to cope with her grief over Vision's death, her husband. This reality warping ability is a hallmark of chaos magic, demonstrating its immense and unpredictable power. The series then hinted at Wanda's connection to an ancient mystical entity called Chthon, who is the source of chaos magic in the Marvel lore. On the other hand, Yennefer of the Witcher series could also conjure up powerful spells and incantations that sometimes have an effect that cannot be foreseen, as is common with the powers of chaos. Unlike spellcasters, these witches have an innate power within them, and sometimes that power would overwhelm them and take over control, leading to disastrous and unexplained consequences. Number 5. Primordial witches. Then there are these category of witches which are ancient in origins but not yet considered goddesses, which we shall explore next. The primordial witches, like the White Witch of Narnia and Grendel's mother from Beowulf, have their abilities derived from or based on ancient unexplainable pre-existing powers. The White Witch's origins are vague at first, but then later explored in the prequel book called The Magician's Nephew by C.S. Lewis. Jadis, her name, originates from the ancient world of Chon, a once great empire that she destroyed through the use of a powerful spell known as the Deplorable Word. Although the White Witch appears human despite her unnatural skin color and above average height, she is described as literally and figuratively of having no human blood, and is of a race that is apparently descended from Adam's first wife Lilith, and apparently part Jinn and part giant. On the other hand, Grendel's mother, her origins are shrouded in mystery, often linked to ancient primal forces and the idea of monstrous feminine in literature. Number 6. Goddesses. So going a step above the primordial witches, we come to the goddesses, which also have witching abilities. Example of these are Calypso from the Pirates of the Caribbean movies and the Hesperides from Shazam! Fury of the Gods. So starting with the latter, in Greek mythology, the Hesperides are nymphs, who were also called the daughters of the evening or the nymphs of the west. They were the daughters of the Atlas, Titan, and Nyx in the movie Shazam! The Fury of the Gods, and these were namely Hespera, Calypso, and Anthea. They were immortal, had divine powers, and are of a totally different breed and power level to humans. Then we also have the former, which was Calypso from the Pirates of the Caribbean. She was once a goddess of the seas and took on the form of a crab, but she then fell in love with Davy Jones, who tricked her and took over control of the seas and imprisoned her in human form. But even after being trapped in human form as the mystic Tia Dalma, the ancient sea goddess Calypso was still considered terrible, deadly, and highly powerful. Then number 7, we have the demonic witches. So lastly, here we have the demonic witches, which are often villains of many movies, and they quite often than not started out as simple sorcerers, spellcasters, and enchantresses, but end up in the end being vessels for demonic powers, and due to their dealings with the evil lords, they become tools and pawns for greater world-ending games. Mother Malkin from The Seventh Son and the Blood Witch Nimue from Hellboy are prime examples. Mother Malkin was once the most powerful witch in all of England, but her hubris took her to dealings with the dark and the Fiend, which was an old god from the dark realms. Nimue, on the other hand, fell into the worship of the Ogdru Jahad, which were Lovecraftian cosmic horrors with unfathomable powers, and they were akin to the old gods. And with that, we come to the end of this video on the 7 types of witches from movies. So, make sure to subscribe and ring that bell icon for more videos just like this one. Leave a like for support, a thumbs up, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care, guys.